right, here we are. Good morning. Happy Thursday morning. Welcome to the PTI Nice Daily Show. Hope your day is off to a fantastic start. My name is Alan. I'll be your host today. Currently serving as COO Vice and faculty member in our fitness athlete division here on Leadership Thursday. It's Leadership Thursday, which also means it is Gut Check Thursday. This is our last Gut Check Thursday for the next couple weeks as the CrossFit Open begins. So we've got a nice long aerobic workout given to us courtesy of our friend Kristen Nett. It is every 20 minutes for 40 minutes, so that's 2 rounds. For those of you who have trouble counting, you're doing 1,000 meters on the row or 800-meter row for ladies, 100 air squats, and then a mile run, aiming to be done between like 15 and 18 minutes there, having a couple minutes to rest, and then you're running it back a second time, trying to stay consistent with your splits. I did that Monday. I did it in 17:36 and 17:57. I am a terrible runner, so I'm sure some of you will post a much faster time than me, but a nice little aerobic workout this week for Gut Check Thursday. Some substitutions posted already, some calories on the bike if you don't have a rower or can't run, and then I think a good substitution there for the rowing if you don't have a rower is something like 50 burpees or 200 double unders to be completely equipment free with that workout. So make sure you hit Gut Check Thursday, post your score. And then speaking of the CrossFit Open, make sure you get signed up. Next week, the 11th, the first workout will be released. A little bit lower equipment this year, recognizing some people still live where they can't go to the gym. So barbell plates, dumbbell, jump rope, pull-up bar is all you'll need. A little bit lower skill, which probably means the volume intensity is going to be a little bit higher, but that's okay. If you do join, make sure you put ICE Physio in your dashboard so that we can track you on the ICE leaderboard so we can have some friendly competition going for the Open. So looking forward to seeing you all on the ICE leaderboard for the Open. And then some courses coming up. A lot of our online courses are selling out very, very, very early. If you were hoping to get into pregnancies, postpartum, older adult, essential foundations, or management of the injured runner, all those courses sold out well in advance. Your next chance to grab those courses is going to be towards the end of April or beginning of May. So make sure you sign up now because they're definitely going to sell out early again. You can catch me and Mitch and Guillermo with Clinical Management Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations. That course starts March 15th. That's the next online course that you could jump into here at ICE. And then we have a couple more in April opening up. Primary Care Physical Therapy with Eric Chaconis and Morgan Denny begins April 5th. And then you can join Justin Dunaway for Persistent Pain Management April 12th. Live courses, we've got Clinical Management Fitness Athlete live in Greenville, South Carolina with Zach Long. That's coming up March 13th. And then you can join Jeff down in Baton Rouge March 20th for lumbar spine management. Or you can join Zach Morgan and myself over in Maryland for cervical spine management also on March 20th. And then we hope to see you all at the ICE Sampler in Nashville the weekend of March 27th. We've got a bunch of great content. We're going to be at CrossFit Hendersonville all weekend long. Really going to dig into some topics about the hip for the older adult and the fitness athlete. We're going to dig a lot deeper into some spinal manipulation and loading, especially some new manipulation techniques, especially for the outsized or petite therapists as well. So we've got 2 action-packed days for you. We're going to work out Saturday night, and we're going to barbecue right there at the gym in the parking lot afterwards. So it's going to be a great weekend. Hope to see you down in Nashville for the Sampler. So let's get into today's topic. This is something we encounter a lot when we talk with some of you, especially when we do some consulting with some of you, is the topic of, are you a business owner or are you just self-employed? And what is the difference there? Oftentimes we can think, well, I'm self-employed, which means I'm a business owner, which is technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. But again, there is a difference there. And before we get started today, when we talk about this, we're not saying one is better or worse than the other. We just need to recognize that there is a clear difference between the two. When we talk about, are you running a business? Are you trying to grow a business? Or are you just self-employed? Maybe it's just you and you've essentially just created a job for yourself or maybe one other employee. And what's different between those two different types of leadership management, financial management? There's a lot of different strategy involved as well. So we have a completely different approach with being a business owner versus being self-employed. Leadership, financials, everything. A really good example that kind of sparked this topic the other day was going to a gas station, and I'm sure you can all relate to this, of where you go in, maybe you've already bought gas, and you grab a bottle of water or something, and it's $1. And you see that sign that says minimum purchase to use a credit card, $5. And you think, I hate this place. What is the deal with this? And that really is kind of a great example of business owner versus self-employed mindset of why do some businesses pass that cost of the credit card processing fee onto the consumer, and why do some just accept it as a cost of doing business. And it really comes down to business owner business growth versus being self-employed and trying to get as much money out of the business as possible. So when we peel back, we recognize that growing a business means trying to go beyond just having a job for yourself. That when you are interested in growing a business, in your mind, maybe your goal is to only have one location. And maybe second location, multiple locations happen as the nature of your growth. But you do know that you want the business to grow beyond just you working there, right? You want to maybe have other employees to help out with the workload. You want to create jobs in your community, whatever your goal is there. When you adopt the business owner mindset, you know that it's going beyond just you. And with that comes a lot of stuff. With that comes the recognition of short-term financial sacrifice that we just don't see in folks who are simply self-employed. That we recognize when we are growing a business, it means we're probably not going to be able to pay ourselves, or at least pay ourselves well, for maybe a very long period of time. I think of here at Health HQ, we opened the doors in January 2019. We did really not start paying ourselves for patient care until the summer of last year of 2020. So 12 to 18 months of seeing patients, growing the business, getting our name out there, building up caseloads, getting recognition in the community. We did all of that without any expectation of taking money out of the business, because we knew long term, to grow, a business needs some amount of liquid capital in the bank account. That's of course paying the bills, keeping the lights on, paying the internet, but that's also paying for marketing and outreach services, using that money to get your name out there and really grow the business, and also to have some money on hand when you look at bringing new employees on. If your bank account, you take all the money out of the bank every month and you put it into your personal bank account, there's no money available to grow. There's no money available to buy new equipment, maybe build and renovate more space, purchase a second location, hire more employees, because all that money is getting pulled out every month or maybe every quarter and put into your personal bank account. And that is a really big example of the difference between business owner and self-employed. And again, one is not worse than the other, one is not better than the other, but they are distinctly different. So recognizing that short-term financial sacrifice is just the name of the game when you really are interested in developing a business, and going into it of having no expectation of maybe ever paying yourself. You need that liquid capital on hand versus self-employed. Somebody who maybe opens up their own shop, maybe is a cash pay PT, maybe is a mobile PT, has less overhead, and is really looking for this to be an alternative or a supplement to their main job. So often we would call this a side hustle, right? Maybe you're in the gym, maybe you're doing mobile PT, going to people's houses or something, but that business exists to create a job for one or maybe two people, and it is not in a good position to probably ever grow beyond that, because all of the money is pulled out every month to pay that business owner's personal bills, right? The money that the business earns pays the business owner's mortgage every month. There's not a lot of money left for growth, which can have an impact on long-term business growth. And we saw this happen a lot last year, where we found out that a lot of businesses were being run as if they were run by a self-employed person, right? We see this very often, even within physical therapy, within corporate chains, of all of the revenue after expenses are paid is bonused out. Maybe it's on a monthly basis, maybe it's on a quarterly basis, maybe it's on a yearly basis. All the money from the business gets paid out. There's nothing left over. Maybe even we want to show a loss for tax purposes or something like that. And that's okay. But again, that's a different mindset of business ownership versus self-employed. And so when there's no money left, it's not surprising that a lot of small and even medium-sized PT businesses went under last year during COVID, simply because Their business model was not set up for long-term financial stability and growth. It was set up to earn money and pay all that money back out to its people. And so again, a different approach, and we see why some businesses are successful and why some are not based on the approach that the leadership has towards running that business. And finally, we need to recognize business ownership versus self-employment, right, needs a different style of leadership. It needs a different style of leadership and management strategy. When you're self-employed, the only person you answer to is you, which is okay. But you are in charge of how much you work or how much you don't work. And so you are the person ultimately responsible for how hard you put the pedal down, trying to build up a caseload, trying to get patients in the door, trying to build widgets or maybe whatever else you're doing with your business. You're the person in charge of that. You're in charge of how much you basically crush yourself with volume. And when we apply that, I'm going to work as hard as I can because the harder I work, the more money I make. If we take that approach to ourselves and then apply that in a business owner mindset with employees, it never works well. It's literally probably the biggest issue in our profession is how hard we overwork people, right? We slot 40, 45, 50 hours of patient care to people. Patients are coming every 15 minutes. PTs are expected to document through lunch unpaid, document at home unpaid, and we take that self-employment, eat what you kill kind of growth mindset and we apply it to an entire corporation of people. And it's not surprising that we have an entire profession of people who are totally burned out, who hate their job, right? Who are being told, just work harder, work harder, work harder, get better at your notes, work more, work on the weekend, right? And being a business owner requires that we get better at leading people. We need to recognize if we truly want to grow a business, if we want to have long-term success, we can't redline people all the time. We need to know when to pull the pedal off. Maybe even we want to create a position for a person that seems easy by comparison because we're interested in having this person work in our clinic not for the next year or two and how much money can we make off of them, but I want this person to be working for me for the next 10 years, 20 years. Ideally, knowing the cost of turnover and attrition, I want this person to work for me theoretically forever if they're doing a good job and they like it here, right? Because that is what is going to be the best for the business as far as costs and also long-term revenue generation and wealth creation is to have that person working for you their entire career. And we simply don't see most PT businesses adopt that mindset of instead of how much can we force people to work, how much productivity can we get out of a person in a week, I want to look at what is an acceptable level of productivity for this person across the next 20 or 30 years. And I talked about it last week. For us, that's 30 hours a week. 30 hours a week of patient care for us is full time. We think that's enough patients for the week. That gives some wiggle room for documentation, and it also gives some flexibility in the schedule for our clinicians to go do whatever else they want to do. I don't care. I want them to be happy. I want them to be able to leave in the middle of the day on Tuesday and go do personal stuff that they would not be able to do at another job. I want them to be happy with their job and maybe erring on the side of underworking them versus overworking them, knowing I want this person here long term, and maybe even I want this person to eventually take over the business from me versus that self-employment mindset of work, 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 4 units a person, 7 units a person, 4 patients an hour. How much can we get out of you? How much can we squeeze out of you? Which totally crushes people. And it's no surprise that most PTs are looking for a new job pretty much as soon as they start working their current one, right? And that's 2 different approaches. When you're that self-employed entrepreneur, that's fine because the only person you answer to is you. You're responsible for how much you crush yourself and it's your own fault. But when you start to have other people working underneath you, you really need to adopt a completely different mindset of how you approach leading people and how much workload you put on people's plates, knowing you want a longer term solution. So we need to recognize that people need time off at the micro level, right? They need time off during the day. They need 5 minutes to be able to go pee, right? I remember working jobs where my only goal, my only thought walking in the door was, I hope I get to go pee today, right? I hope I don't have to hold it for 7 hours because that's what I'm usually used to. That should not be a cause of concern in any business for any employee, physical therapy or not. So again, nothing is wrong with either of these approaches, looking at stuff with a business owner lens versus a self-employed lens. But when we peel back and look at our businesses, sometimes it can be very easy to see, oh, That's why I'm not having the success I want to have. That's why I'm stuck at just me and maybe a second employee and it's not really growing, because I am passing off all of my costs onto the consumer, which makes consumers hate coming here. I am really crushing my employee with productivity when really I need to be looking at maybe easing back and maybe even getting another person in here to take some of that caseload to grow the business long term. So two different approaches: peel back, look at, do I really want this to be a business? Do I want this to have long-term growth? Do I want to grow into multiple employees, maybe multiple clinics, maybe multiple locations? Or am I okay with this just being a job for me, which again is fine, but requires a different lens, a different approach. And oftentimes we see business owners trying to run like self-employed and self-employed folks trying to run like business owners, which doesn't always go well in the long term. So if you're having frustration with, why is it so hard to launch my side hustle off the ground? Why am I not seeing the growth I want? Then I would encourage you to try and look at this with an objective lens and say, what strategies, what am I doing financially to not see or see the growth that I want with my current business? And I think you'll find some easy fixes, some quick fixes that will turn the lens around and really start you on the path to growth that you want to see. So would love to talk more about this, get really nerdy about this, see it done wrong often, probably more often than not, looking and talking with different clinic groups. So would be happy to hear any discussion, comments you all have about this. I hope you have a fantastic Thursday, a great weekend. Have fun with Gut Check. If you're going to be in Maryland next weekend, I'll see you there. And if you're going to be at the Sampler down in Nashville at the end of the month, I will see you there as well. Looking forward to both those courses. Have a good Thursday. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.